Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bill Cheslock. I'm the Director of Emerging Products here at Lightpath, and we're going to spend the next 20-30 minutes talking about advanced SD-WAN technology. As an introduction and a start, please note that on the right-hand side, there's a docs section and a Q&A section in this portal, so we can use that to, you can pull down the product sheet for the doc. Of course, you could also go to our website and look at our latest announcements there regarding our SD-WAN and other products that Lightpath provides. And the Q&A section, please enter your questions there. I'll get through my material and then I'll look to address any questions, time permitting. Okay? Excellent. So let's start with the problems that we're all going to face in business, right? The business constantly changes, our requirements change. And we want networks that support our business focus. The issues that we have, legacy networks, the idea that networks were installed 5-7 years ago, and they are high, the costs are high to maintain. The way we use the networks are changing. There's a lot more migration to cloud technology where the data is being stored, where our applications are being stored. As we migrate our data into the clouds, we change scale. We have large customers all across the country, all across the world. Our internal consumers are migrating. So there's a shift in how people are using the data. And then finally, the integration of security, right? We constantly have evolving security requirements, compliance requirements, as well as threats. And one of the greatest benefits of SD-WAN technology is its ability to integrate both the networking and the security into a single framework, into a single fabric, so that we can start to maintain both performance and security at scale across all of the necessary sites, whether our consumers are on-site or remote, the hybrid approach. So I'll spend a little time talking about, the migration from legacy networks to early SD-WANs, and then finally to where we currently are, what we call a modern SD-WAN. Because all of these technologies, while they had their place when they started, right, legacy networks built for purpose, focusing on routing, focusing on kind of failover of transports, going then to early SD-WAN technology, which was focused on kind of software-defined, the orchestration layer. Now that we could start to have a console and configure things software-wise, not always having to send a technician out to a premise to make something happen. And finally, going to the modern SD-WAN, which even has a more tightly knit collaboration and coordination between various components, both routing components, security components, and access components. So that's how the architecture has shifted. When we get into the management, I mentioned the visibility, right? All SD-WAN technology now provides that portal. And the portal is just the real-time visibility of what's going on using common interfaces like a web browser. But they all include things like syslog integration, SNMP integration, email integration. So now you can get that awareness of what's going on, not only while you're looking at the portal, but you can be proactively notified about it so that you can always have an awareness of what's going on inside your network. Following the ability to manage it and have the visibility, you could get into the security aspects. And that's where it kind of gets into the idea that security standards, security risks, security consistency across sites and individuals is growing and getting tighter, and higher standards are there. So as we now have the modern SD-WAN technologies, we're integrating more of those security components into the network. And you hear terms like SASE, zero trust network architectures. And these are the components that are being built into modern SD-WAN technologies to allow our companies to maintain compliance as well as performance through everyday operations. Another aspect has been the scalability and the flexibility. right? The idea of using, I'll call them legacy, maybe static networks. MPLS is a dynamic network, but still it takes a lot of overhead to reconfigure that and maintain a consistency as, for example, you layer on new applications that require particular policies applied to them. Those legacy networks don't lend themselves to this type of management, maintenance, and ongoing change control. The modern networks, they absolutely do, with concepts like deep packet inspection, understanding what's going on inside of a packet, with the idea of delving into encrypted traffic in cases so that you can maintain cybersecurity and looking at data even if it's going through encrypted channels, leveraging IPsec and VPN tunnels to ensure secure access to information over lower cost and public interfaces like DIAs, direct internet access. All of this kind of flexibility comes with the modern SD-WAN technology. About performance, class of service, the idea that we can use a single transport yet still prioritize traffic flows. So we all know that voice over IP is a priority traffic flow. Video conferencing, we've all gotten very used to things like Teams and WebEx, and we want to make sure those packets take priority, perhaps over data transfer FTP type traffic. So the idea and the ability to set up policies that treat traffic in a certain way, no matter where it's coming from or going to, is an enhancement of the modern SD-WAN architecture and technology. Cloud integration. Every customer we have has a migration to using one of the clouds, AWS, Azure, Google, or any of the other hundreds of clouds. The idea that data storage is no longer in company's data center, it's out there on the cloud. Applications, security services out on the cloud. So the ability to have a modern SD-WAN that can easily integrate with these clouds at scale and rapidly in a relative seamless way is a very good benefit of the modern SD-WAN technologies. And finally, talk about costs, because I'd be remiss if I had all of this, we do it without paying attention to cost. The idea when you consider having a managed service of leveraging integrated features, simplifying security stacks while maintaining a security profile, leveraging partnerships so that, for example, your technologists can focus on maybe internal problems while you leverage a partner to handle your WAN technologies and changes. All of these aspects go into making a more cost-effective solution, again, that maintains the support of your network so that you could focus on the business needs at hand. Okay, this summary is just what I went over. It's in the deck. It's going to be available to you in the future. It's a good reference point. And what it does is it brings us to talking about having Lightpath's product, like we call it FlexNet, be your modern SD-WAN of choice. It makes sense that a company like Lightpath that's been providing reliable and robust transport mechanisms, including some managed services like voice services and cloud connectivity service, now offer a modern SD-WAN solution so that you could take advantage of not only those transport services and other managed services, but also the integration of the overall network architecture. We offer two. You've probably heard about our the system we launched a couple of years ago. We called it FlexNet. That was based upon the Meraki MX platform. And now we're excited to announce the new FlexNet Plus, which is based upon the Versa technology. In both cases, we do the fully managed solution, or we can go co-managed to a certain extent. We would talk to you about that, understand what your requirements are. Certainly, FlexNet Plus provides more granular control over the network, so we could talk about what aspects of co-management you might be interested in. And again, the benefit is combining our SD-WAN solution with our DIA and with our other managed services, make our offering a very competitive, reliable, and cost-effective solution, because it gives you that single vendor that you could come to, partner, Lightpath partner to get not only, again, the orchestration of the network, but also your billing and your administration and top-notch service and support. A moment about Meraki, our FlexNet product. It is a cloud-managed solution. So for those people who are familiar with Meraki, maybe have invested in other products around the Meraki family, this might be a good solution. We do have the built-in security, so you have all of the features like a firewall, the anti-malware protection, content filtering, and of course it can be integrated with Zscaler or Cisco Umbrella, their Cisco SASE solution. Okay. It provides scalability in quantity and in bandwidth, so that it's very effective for multi-branch locations with relatively simpler requirements. The auto VPN feature is very effective at establishing and breaking down the VPNs as you might add or remove sites. And obviously when there's an issue with the transport, the easy failover of the VPNs to maintain the traffic reliability. Meraki has always been known for its ease of management. It certainly supports lean IT so that you can focus again on other areas of technology and leverage the Lightpath partnership to help maintain that and do change control and when necessary, break fix. Of course, it also has the alerting features that SD-WANs have so that there is that level of proactive monitoring that we can perform so that, again, you don't have to stand in front of a portal to see what's going on. We can take care of things, get alerts, resolve issues, and business can keep going on. In the context of cost, it is the relatively less expensive product. It's very kind of focused, is very helpful for mid-sized organizations. And again, the relative simpler security requirements and features that a customer might have, it still gives them the advantage of an SD-WAN solution. It still gives them the highly reliable electronics or transports. It gives some traffic profiling. But again, it's just at a limited scale compared to our second product that I'm going to step into, which is FlexNet Plus. And this is the one we're excited about based upon the Versa technology. Versa, a well-known, world-renowned SD-WAN technology, very robust, software-driven, software company from the core, extremely flexible, can be extremely detailed, depending on your requirements on how we could set up the policies to control the traffic, control the personnel, control access, etc. Important here is while it's still, we include cybersecurity, we're flexible to the point where if you have a cybersecurity solution that you're happy with, that you're required to use, perhaps certain cybersecurity controls that are only certified by your customer base, we can integrate with that. So we have the concept of bring your own cybersecurity, or you can leverage the solutions that we offer, which again includes the unified threat management, but it also goes a step further to now integrating organically the SASE capabilities, so the software gateway, the zero trust network architecture. So for those of you that have very specific security requirements, we can now start to satisfy those needs with our FlexNet Plus product. Again, it's scalable and it has high performance. It's been highly tested and highly rated to perform very effectively through failures and then through recovery. Ease of management is there as well. Again, policy-based systems put together. We can do the zero-touch deployment. Lightpath does provide field technicians. So one of the values of our managed service is that we will help you set up the systems. You don't need to have technical resources in all your locations. You can lean on Lightpath for that. But in terms of deploying, testing, gathering configurations, we can do that, and the tool Versa facilitates that. In terms of cost, this one is the relatively more expensive one because it does have so many more features. It is certainly more flexible and has more capabilities. As your business grows and as you scale, you kind of get into the position of our Versa solution. So when you consider, as I went through our FlexNet and our FlexNet Plus offerings, how do we make a decision? The first and foremost is you consider what your requirements are. We don't enter the discussion with a preconceived notion of what is going to be offered. It's a matter of discussing what your requirements are, where you are on your digital transformation roadmap, and what systems you're going to need to support your business. So in both cases, with the Meraki solution or the Versa solution, as I mentioned, they can be either fully managed or co-managed, depending on your requirements. The security question will always come up. We'll find out what are your security requirements, how old are your existing security implementations, whether it's firewalls, whether it's intrusion detection systems, and how our solution could integrate with that. Again, remember that our Versa solution, this FlexNet Plus, allows a lot more flexibility to leveraging your existing cybersecurity if that becomes a requirement. And that's what we call bring your own cybersecurity. In terms of scalability, how large are you growing? How large are you to start? How quickly will you be acquiring other firms or other branches or other locations? That goes into the decision of which solution we would offer. In terms of customization, again, the FlexNet Plus solution based upon Versa has a high level of granularity. So we could get very specific with things like traffic flows or access points or regions where data flows should be coming or going, as well as applying cybersecurity features to that. So there's a lot more customization that can be facilitated in our FlexNet Plus offering. And the last comment has to do with throughput, because as you look at what you're using today and where you're headed, there are certain constraints based upon the hardware and software in our FlexNet offering, but we can go much further with FlexNet Plus. So that those are all a bunch of considerations that we would talk to you about as we go through the process of assessing your requirements and identifying the best product that meets your requirements. In terms of to answer the question, why Lightpath? The first thing I think about is, or the first thing I'd like to mention to you is the idea that as a managed service, you can offload the capital to us. So in other words, there is no CapEx on your behalf. Our managed service, which provides all of these services, all of the hardware, software, firmware upgrades, everything we do, just goes to you in terms of a monthly recurring charge. So there is no capital outlay on your behalf, and we're the people who will keep the equipment updated over the years. So that's just one less headache for you to think about. In terms of the predictable OpEx, I mentioned it's one monthly recurring charge. So you can plan out what this system will cost you based upon the number of sites you have and your resiliency requirements. It's well known upfront what it will cost. In terms of speed of deployment, we know that SD-WANs are designed and built for efficiency and flexibility. With our expertise, with Lightpath's experience, certifications, expertise, engineering strength in this area, we have the expertise to help you design and deploy these systems in a very rapid fashion. So you don't have to worry about having staff that have all the latest insights into the capabilities of the latest versions of SD-WAN software. That you can rely upon us. I mentioned earlier about the proactive monitoring, the idea that these systems will send alerts right to our network management system. So our NOC is paying attention to your networks 7/24, all day, all night, every day. So that, again, your focus is on business growth, capturing business, being effective in your business, and you're relying on us to maintain the infrastructure that's supporting your business. And finally, the managed platform updates and the support. Again, you don't need to focus on what patches are out there, when hardware needs to be upgraded, or when definitions have to be upgraded. That's all what you offload onto us, and we maintain that 7/24 holistic coverage for you. The last section here talks about, it's kind of like an added booster. The idea that when there are companies that will just do SD-WANs, But when you talk about a company that can integrate both SD-WAN technology with connectivity and other managed services like voice, Wi-Fi, cloud connections, now you start to see the value of integrating and kind of economics of scale of getting all these capabilities from a proven company. Lightpath's been around for 30 years, providing all of these services, once again, offloading your group, your company, your resources from having to focus on these kinds of technical details. You leave that to Lightpath, and then you're able to focus much more on your business thrusts. So in terms of understanding all of this, I kind of went through a lot. SD-WANs can be complex. The concepts might be simple, but the implementations can be more complex, and you need an expert to help you decipher the hard requirements from the soft requirements, the difficult challenges from the hearsay challenges. So if you need modern SD-WAN solutions, we now have a robust offering in our FlexNet and our FlexNet Plus products. So we can match most any requirements that exist today for you. Our consultative approach, we're not just going to sell you a box and drop it off. No, we speak with you, we meet with you. We have account executives who are hands-on. We have our sales engineers who are hands-on. We have the support engineers, our product team. Everyone gets involved as necessary to understand your particular requirements and build a solution that will meet your requirements in the most cost-effective fashion. As I mentioned, Lightpath has been around. We've been, consolidated in the Northeast. We've been expanding over the last couple of years, and we will continue to expand. So as your business grows, we're growing with you. We're a very effective partner, both in the Northeast, but all across the continental United States. We have relationships, technologists, and we have now the resources and products to support your business, no matter where it is. And can't forget the value of support. The idea that we are proud of our product. We want you to be successful. We don't want you to have any regrets. And we have a very robust care center and network management system center that's going to support your organization from the moment you start meeting with our account executives through the term and beyond. And with that, I want to thank you for spending the time listening to me brief you on our FlexNet products. We are very excited about them. They are very effective, reliable solutions. We've had some very good experiences with them, and we want to expand those. So please, get in touch with us as you will. That's the end of my presentation, and I do see a couple of Q&As. So what I'll do is I'll go through those in the remaining 5 minutes. So the first question comes from Andrew, who asks, how often is the service equipment software updated? The answer is as quickly as, or as currently as every couple of days, depending mostly there on the threats. We're talking about definitions in our IPSs, in the intrusion prevention systems, or in the antivirus. That software can get pushed based upon threat, as quickly as day. The second set in terms of firmware upgrades, that's something we coordinate with our providers, whether it's Meraki or Versa. We schedule those software upgrades. And then again, equipment upgrades we'll handle as kind of requirements demand. Typically, the equipment lasts for years, and that's less of a problem. Andrew also asked, what types of businesses would have a need to get a granular information on the network? The interesting part about these portals is that they're useful not only for reporting, but also for troubleshooting and triage. So when I give my demonstrations of the network, there are some things that are useful kind of at a broad stroke. So you might recognize that a particular branch is utilizing 50% of their traffic or of their bandwidth, or a particular branch is accessing a particular application more commonly than others. So that's kind of broad stroke situational awareness information that helps you in the planning of network growth, possibly branch growth, things like that. But also on the flip side, on the triage and troubleshooting, these tools are very effective in very quickly isolating problems. So the typical use case I talk about is a user in a particular branch who has a problem getting to an application. So the things you have to decipher along the way, is it a branch problem? Is it a local area network problem? Is it the interconnectivity between the branch and the internet? Or is it out there on the server, whether the server's in your data center or in a cloud? These tools and the visibility that these tools provide allow you in a matter of minutes to debug where the problem is, or most probably where it's not, and it allows you to focus your energy on where the problem might be. So you could quickly rule out things like a primary WAN or a router, things like that. So that having that kind of real-time insight is effective both in reporting capabilities as well as in triage capabilities. Well, that's all I had to present. I think I answered the Q&As that I saw. My contact information is here. Our sales contact information is here. And I ask you, please get in touch if you have any further questions. And I thank you for taking the time. Have a good day.